Om Jnanatimirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Vayam Tadanti Swapadantikam.
सासवी नाही हा
हं?
सासवी नाही
हो का हो
काही सासवी नाही
हो बरोबर आहे वंदे
Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shya Shri Rupam Sagrajaram Sahagana Raghunatharpitam Tam Sajivam Satvedam Swavadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Sadhana Lalita Sri Jagannatha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushtute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhubhayeva cha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Shashwin, thank you very much. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined this group, Prabhuji, and who are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on chapter 1. We are on Canto 1, chapter 7 today. And we are on the first text. Chapter 7 is called The Son of Drona Punished. Prabhuji, so should we read the text, translation, and purport?
Yes, please. And I believe we'll do, if it's all right, we'll do text 2 also today. So,
Okay, so should we read both of them and then hand over to you?
yes, please.
Okay. So, Shashwin, would you like to read the text 1?
Yes, Mataji. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Saunat Om Namo
No.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Svabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. सौनका उवाच निर्गते नारदे सूता भगवान्
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin, for reciting the shloka and the Mangalacharan so beautifully. We'll now go on to word translation and purport. Do I have any volunteers who could do that for us? We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.71. Okay, maybe I can read the word to word. Shonaka, Shri Shonaka. Uvacha, Uvacha
Vacha
said,
Said,
Nirgate,
Nirgate
having gone,
having gone,
having gone
Narada,
Narada,
Narada
Narad Muni,
Narad Muni,
Muni
Sutta,
Sutta,
Sutta
O Sutta,
O Sutta,
Bhagavan,
Gavan,
the transcendently powerful,
the transcendentally
powerful
Vadrayanaha,
Vajrayana
Vedavyasa,
Vedavyasa,
Shrutavan,
Sutavan,
who heard,
who heard,
Tat,
Tat,
that
his,
his,
is
Api Pretam,
Abhipratam,
desire of the mind,
desire of the mind,
Tataha,
Tata,
thereafter,
thereafter,
Kim, what,
what
Akarot,
Akaro,
did he do,
did he do?
Vibhuha, the great.
The great.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Rishi Shonaka asked, O Sutta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasa Deva heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after Narad's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? Purport. In this chapter, the clue for describing Srimad Bhagavatam is picked up as Maharaj Parikshit is miraculously saved in the womb of his mother. This was caused by Drauni, Ashwathama, Acharya Drona's son, who killed the 5 sons of Draupadi while they were asleep, from which he was punished by Arjuna. Before commencing the great epic, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Vyasadeva realized the whole truth by trance in devotion. Hare Krishna. Let's go to text 2. Lakshmi
Yeah.
Mataji, are you okay to read the text 2?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sure Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Sutta Uvacha Brahmanadyam
Sutta Uvacha.
Saraswatyam
Brahmanatyam Saraswatyam
Ashramaha Paschime Tate
Ashrama Paschime Tate
Samya Prasayiti Prokta
Samya Prasita Iti Prokya
Rishinam Satra Vardhanaha.
Rishina Satra Vardhana. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you continue, please?
Yeah, sure Mataji. So word to word translation. Sutta, Sri Sutta,
Sutta, Shri Sutta,
Uvacha said,
Uvacha said,
Brahmanadhyam, on the bank of the river, intimately related with Vedas, Brahmanas, saints, and the Lord.
Brahma
Brahmam Natyam
Vidyan
on the bank of the river,
river,
intimately
intimately
related
related
with
with
Vedas.
Vedas, Brahmanas, saints, and the Lord.
Saraswatyam Saraswati.
Saraswatyam Saraswati.
Ashramaha, cottage for meditation.
Ashram.
Ashrama, cottage for meditation.
Paschamai, on the west.
Paschame.
Ashrama, on the west.
Tate, bank.
Tate.
Tate, bank.
Shamya Prashaha, the place named Shamya Prasa.
Shamya
Samya
Prasha.
Prashaha, the place named Samya Prasha.
Iti, thus.
Iti, thus.
Proktaha, said to be.
Proktaha, said to be.
Rishinam, of the sages.
Rishinam.
Rishna of the sages.
Satravardhanaha, that which enlivens activities.
Satravardhana, that which enlivens activities.
Translation and purport given by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Sri
Yeah.
Suta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Shamya Prasha, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Purport. For spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. The place on the western bank of the river Saraswati is especially suitable for this purpose. And there is the ashrama of Vyasadeva at Shamya Prasa. Srila Vyasadeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashrama. An ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. The whole Varnashrama system is so designed that each and every status of the life is called an ashrama. This means that spiritual culture is the common factor for all. The brahmacharis, the grahasthas, the vanaprasthas, and the sannyasis all belong to the same mission of life, namely realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Lakshmi Mataji, for reading the text too. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I hand over to you now.
Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavas. So we're continuing with our study of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're now starting 7th chapter of the Canto 1. And Rishi Shanaka, who is the head of the sages gathered for performing a sacrifice in the forest of Naimisharanya, is asking Sutta what Srila Vyasadeva did after Narada Muni departed. We remember there was discussion between Sri Narada Muni, the first born son of Lord Brahma, and Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva was feeling unhappy. He had compiled so many Vedic scriptures, but he was still feeling unhappy. And it became understood that it was because he did not focus, did not speak very much directly about Krishna Bhakti, devotion to Lord Krishna. Mostly he concentrated on providing information, how to be a good person, a moral person in this world, which is necessary. It's a very good thing. And then Narada Muni departed, and so what did Srila Vyasadeva do? So Srila Prabhupada is giving us a head start of letting us know what we're going to be hearing about in the 7th chapter, actually for the next few chapters. several chapters. It's going to be about the Pandavas, Maharaj Pariksit, because why are they inquiring? Well, Maharaj Pariksit is one of the central personalities of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He is going to be hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Shukadev Goswami, the son of Srila Vyasadeva. So as many classes ago, we noted that Srimad Bhagavatam has different levels, what's called nesting, one thing inside of another thing. So the sages, headed by Shaunaka, they're inquiring about religious principles. In the very beginning, they were asking, what is the best process of religion? How can people become satisfied and happy? How can they attain the best success? And so Sutta Goswami is going to share with them what he heard in the conversation between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit, the grandson of the Pandava, Arjuna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is primarily, we will be hearing a conversation between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit. And the sages here are asking about Maharaj Pariksit, and of course, about the Pandavas and other activities related to the Pandavas. So we will hear how Maharaj Pariksit was miraculously saved in the womb of his mother, Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya. After the battle, he threw a Brahmastra mantra weapon to kill the last descendant of the Pandavas, but he was protected by Lord Krishna, which is very wonderful. And so they are going to be asking about that. And Srila Prabhupada notes that Srila Vyasadeva saw all these events through his mystic trance ahead of time. So then in the next verse, text 2, the text reads, Sri Sutta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Shamya Prasha, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. And Srila Prabhupada comments that for spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. So in different lectures and in his writings, perhaps some of us have heard Srila Prabhupada explain that the idea of yoga without a proper yoga lifestyle is nonsense. It's not going to go anywhere very far. Everything requires, for success, different components. If you are an athlete, not only do you have to exercise and practice, you also have to have the correct diet. You also have to be able to rest sufficiently. And your lifestyle has to allow you to practice. These Olympic athletes, especially as they come closer to the Olympic Games, they are practicing 6 or 8 hours a day. So you have to have a life that gives you that ability. So actual yoga, to link with God, to link our consciousness with God, to meditate on God, it requires a certain lifestyle. And that's described in Bhagavad Gita. We have to live in a peaceful place which allows for meditation. Everything should be, our eating and our sleeping, our work, everything we do needs to be in sattva guna, because sattva guna empowers us to understand spiritual reality. We can't be practicing yoga once a week, like some people have been misled. There are many yoga studios, maybe in Nairobi, other places. There are yoga studios. People practice the different exercises, but those exercises are only one part out of 8 of the real yoga system. Sometimes they practice pranayama. So maybe they're practicing, or asana, 3. So they practice perhaps 3 of the 8 different stages of real yoga. And then some of them, they're not actually interested in yoga for the purpose of yoga. They want to have better health by their yogic, so-called yogic practice. But real yoga, to realize our spiritual identity, to realize God, to talk with God, to hear God within our heart, that's different. So Srila Vyasadeva, he is staying in an ashram at a place which is suitable. And Srila Prabhupada tells us something which is very important. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. Sometimes we talk to people, they think that Krishna consciousness means living in an ashram, living in a temple, that it's not possible to be a devotee of Krishna unless you're living in a temple. So that is a mistaken idea. But Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that it doesn't matter whether we are in our student life, married life, retired life, renounced life. Spiritual culture is the same mission for everyone. It's not that the rules and regulations for brahmacharis and brahmacharinis are not applicable to everyone else, or the men and women who are 100% focused all day, living in temples, that what they're doing is something that everyone should, is something that others don't have to do. But it's meditating on Krishna, trying to understand Krishna, practicing yoga. It is for everyone always. I was just speaking to a young man from India yesterday, and he was saying that because of his college studies, he does not have as much time as he would like for his Krishna bhakti. So what should he do? Well, we all have to do the best we can. That's what else can we do? Wherever we are, we do the best we can to arrange our life in a way which allows us to practice. That's one good reason that we should get a good education or vocational education, so that hopefully we can have just one job. If we're not able to have income from one job and we're having to work 2 jobs, where will the time be to attend the lectures or to study on our own or to chant Hare Krishna? So it is actually part of Krishna Bhakti that in our early years, we arrange our life so that we can have, hopefully, a good income, so we can maintain ourselves and maintain our family peacefully. It is not Maya to do whatever will help our Krishna consciousness. if we need to sleep 8 hours a day so that we can have peace of mind, then we need to do that. For us, that's not Maya. If we need to have biscuits twice a day, then for us, that's what we need to do. Whatever will keep us in a peaceful situation within the four regulative principles, whatever kind of work we need to do, whatever is for the purpose of Krishna, that is a proper activity. We discussed this last week because sometimes as devotees, we are in awkward situations, which are not our first choice. But if we are dedicating our effort wherever we are, whatever we're doing, for the purpose of our immediate Krishna consciousness and our future Krishna consciousness, then that's a proper thing to do, especially for students or anyone, but take someone 18, 19 years old who's thinking about going to the university for 4 or 5 years, a devotee. So what does that have to do with Krishna consciousness? So that's what we're discussing, that I am going to school, I am studying, I'm going to get the best grades that I can, so that, because that will offer me the best opportunity to have a good income. And with a good income, I can live more peacefully. I will have more time for Krishna consciousness. So that makes the whole effort spiritualized. It's very important to understand this, that we discussed this last week, that things which are used for the purpose of Krishna and activities that are done for the purpose of Krishna, they are spiritualized, even if they seem so material. Now, having said that, it is a fact that, of course, if somehow we did not have to mix with non-devotees, and the more simple our life is, it does help. It does help. Therefore, renunciation. The more we can live simply with the least belongings and the least things to tend to, then of course we're going to have more time for chanting bhajan and chanting japa and hearing about Krishna. So it is wanted. It is wanted as soon as possible, as far as possible, that we simplify our life. That's all. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about this in the last sentence or two. He says, therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation. So in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes that sannyas means to fully devote oneself to Krishna, to work for Krishna 100%. That is sannyas. Sannyas is not wearing orange robes. It is about our inner consciousness. We could be inwardly a sannyasi in household life, certainly in our later household years. It is a matter of our inner dedication, what our intent is, why we are doing what we're doing. There is a story which is told, maybe some of you have heard it, about simplicity. It's a little funny that there was one brahmachari who was living in a quiet place by himself, and he would bathe in the river. And while he was bathing, mice or rats would chew holes in his undergarments. So it became very troubling for him. And so he thought, I will get a cat to keep away the rats and the mice. And then, of course, the cat needs food, some milk. So he got a cow. And then with a cow, you have to have land. And as long as I have land and a cow, I should have a wife. So he got himself very thick in a lot of busy activities to keep away the mice. So he was plowing in the field one day, and Krishna let him realize that, oh, all of this just to keep away, just to keep my undergarments safe. So he took off all his clothes so he wouldn't have to worry about it, and entered into the fully renounced ashram of sannyas. So simplicity, the best we can do. We should not be in anxiety that I'm not living the most simple life. We may not. It's not some kind of sin or something we should be ashamed about. It's a certain situation, and as possible, when it's possible, we try and adjust it. If we're working in a job which is at night, the night shift, which is not so good, then as soon as possible, we get a different job. If we are in school and we would really like to spend more time doing bhajan, we're going to have to wait. So this is a practicality. So Srila Prabhupada points out here that spiritual culture is the common factor for all. It is just that the specific way that we practice Krishna consciousness and some detailed instructions are going to be different according to our stage of life. The specific instructions for students, for married people, for retired people, for persons who are completely renounced, of course, they're going to be a little different in certain ways. But the focus is the same, keeping oneself in sattva guna and hearing and chanting about Krishna as much as possible. Some of our Vaishnava acharyas, like Narottam Das Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they have sung bhajans. They have told how it doesn't matter whether one is grihastha or sannyas or brahmachari. Anyone who is chanting, calling on the names of Gauranga Nityananda, they are very well situated. And Krishna loves all of us, always. Krishna does not love someone in the grihastha ashram less than someone in the sannyasa ashram. Krishna sees all of us equally, and he helps all of us equally as much as we want his help. It's not that one stage is somehow, from one perspective, better, that a sannyasi is better than a grihastha. Sometimes there's material considerations like that men are better than women, or women are better than men. These are material considerations. It is a fact that we offer respect. We recognize that if someone has become so attached to Krishna that they are not interested in ordinary material activities, who can live very simply, peacefully, that we offer respect. We recognize that they have made advancement. It is a symptom of advancement, whether we are in the grihastha ashram or not, that we are not attached inside for our own happiness or gratification to material things. Someone in the Grihastha ashram may be inwardly as renounced as anyone else. They have no, just like these great kings in Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Pariksit, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Maharaj Yudhisthira, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, many, most of the intimate followers of Lord Chaitanya were in the household ashram. But inwardly, they were so attached to Krishna and pleasing Krishna, they had very little interest personally. Whatever they did for their married life and income, it was dutiful. You see, that's the mode of goodness. Sattva guna means I do things because I must do them, because they have to be done. And the mode of passion means I'm doing this thing because I'm going to enjoy it. So you can see the problem with that. If we get married in the mode of passion, we marry, oh, I really like this woman, this man, I love this man, I like this about them, I like that about them. Well, what if it changes? Then what? So that's passionate. And passion, Lord Krishna explains, is happiness in the beginning and poison in the end. In the 18th chapter, Lord Krishna describes the different qualities of the three modes of nature. And we should study those so we know. In the mode of ignorance, people are lazy, they sleep a lot, they're not motivated, depressed. And in the mode of passion, people are motivated. I'm going to make money. I'm going to have lots of money. I'm going to buy this and buy that, and do this and do that, and I'm going to enjoy it. So because material happiness is temporary, it's not permanent. It can break a lot easier than in sattva guna. If I'm getting married and I'm taking care of my wife and my husband and my children because I have to, it is my duty. It is something Krishna wants me to do. Then whether I like it or not is much less of a concern. Whether I like it or not, materially, it is my duty to Krishna. It is my religious duty to take care of the children, take care of my spouse, to do my work every day, to go to work every day. Whether I like it or not, personally, it may be hot out, cold out. I may like my work. I may not like the work. I may like cooking. I may not like cooking. The mind is very fickle. Sometimes we get excited. Oh, I really want to cook. I'm going to cook all these things. And we're happy to do it. And then a few days later, we don't want to go in the kitchen. I don't want to cook. So this is the mind. So it's the mode of passion. So the more that we can lift ourselves up to sattva guna, and Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to do that, then the more steady our peace of mind will be. The more steady our happiness will be. The more secure our religious principles will be. The first stage of genuine spiritual life is to practice being very dutiful, even-minded. Like it, don't like it, want to, don't want to, it doesn't matter. I must do it. So it is a mentality. It is a state of mind. It is a mode of nature that we can develop more and more and more. And we can see that people who have more of the sattva guna, they're more steady. Something is happening in their work, something is happening in their social life, something is happening in their marriage. It can remain more solid because it's not just based on whether I like it or not, or my sense gratification. That's why so many marriages, especially in the Western countries, they fail because the people are very fickle. Oh, we really enjoyed listening to that music together. Now you don't like that music. I'm going to go find someone else who does like that music or something similar to that. So that's horrible. That's horrible. So why don't we have some discussion at this point and questions?
Hare Krishna. Sorry, my internet is unstable, therefore I had to switch off the video. Hare Krishna, are there any questions or comments so far? So Prabhuji, my question is about this fickle mind. So today I want to do this, and then tomorrow I don't want to do, for example, let's say cooking. So today, I mean, this whole week I have cooked a lot, and now next week I don't want to do it. So how do we train ourselves to do that in the same way we've been doing it?
Practice. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna in the 6th chapter that how can I become successful on the path of yoga? And Lord Krishna said by practice and determination. We encourage ourselves by remembering Lord Krishna's instructions. We take shelter of Krishna. In the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says activities should be done as a matter of duty. Oh, so that's Lord Krishna's instruction, and it's a little difficult, but I'm going to push past, rise above, go beyond my feelings and my mind, and try and adopt that kind of thinking, that it is my duty to do this or to do that. So it is a mental habit. It is a mode of nature. Now, having said that, the mind, we should be careful not to go too far with it, because our mind, as we sometimes make a joke about, is like a monkey or a little child, and we have to deal with our minds carefully, intelligently. When we say tolerate and just push past and rise above and go beyond our feelings, someone may ask, and it's a good question, well, is there a point that I'm pushing myself too much? And yes, we should not be too hard upon our minds, upon our own mind. If our mind, our feelings are very upset, and they remain upset that I am making myself read Srimad Bhagavatam and I really don't want to do it, my mind is complaining. We don't want to make our mind hateful. I'm not going to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. I push myself so much. I don't like it. I don't want to do that. So we have to deal with our own mind in a gentle way also. So when our mind doesn't want to do something, we have to talk to it. That, all right, it's going to be a little difficult. We don't want to do this thing. We don't feel like cooking, but we'll just go and cook, and after an hour, 2 hours, it will be done, and then we'll go do some other thing. Or yes, I don't want to do this, but it's just I'm tired, and that's why my mind is complaining. Or maybe I need to do the activity in a way which is more interesting. Instead of cooking in the same order, I'll cook in a different order of preparations to make it a little bit more interesting for me. So we have to deal with our own minds and feelings in a way which works. We don't want to brutally force ourselves to do something beyond our capacity that we really feel miserable. And then we have to ask something that, my mind is really upset doing this activity. What do you think? And we discuss it. Because we have our limits. We are not, at this point, I know I'm not, we are not completely transcendental, that we can go beyond our body and mind 100%. We definitely can't do that. So we all have our limits. So the first thing is try and remember the instruction of Krishna, to take enthusiasm remembering the instructions of our Supreme Father. We give our mind the instructions of Lord Krishna, and then we can also talk to it in a way so it's pacified. Just like a child that wants a biscuit. So instead of saying, no, you can't have it, instead we might say, yes, yes, of course. So first do this thing and do that thing, and a little later you'll have biscuit. And the child is generally will accept that a lot more easily than just no. But we have to see how to deal with our mind and feeling intelligent and using our willpower. That's there's no substitute for that. It's just like lifting weights. In the beginning, it hurts, and then after 2-3 weeks, you can add 5 pounds, and 2 weeks later, another 5 pounds, and gradually, you can, if you do that, you can get quite strong. So in the beginning, it will be more difficult than later. Later, we will have more strength. That's called Brahma Tejas. We will have the spiritual power to go beyond our mind, our feelings, our body, and act on the basis of pure spirit. Act on the basis of pure spiritual knowledge. Instead of being told what to do, or instead of being forced to do something by our feelings, by our body. It happens, of course. We're not 100% transcendental. So I hope that is of some illumination. It's a very good topic to discuss, how to live with ourselves, how to live with our mind. And of course, the stronger our sadhana, the better our japa, and the more that we're hearing and chanting, etc. That will give us more ability. You know, we've talked about that in other classes, about developing our willpower. When we give in repeatedly, you know, if we give in too much, sometimes we have to give in. All right, okay, we will have 5 biscuits, but only right now. So sometimes we may do that. But if we always give in, it's just like with a child, they get spoiled. They get spoiled. If we don't train children to have patience and self-discipline, then by the time they get into puberty, it's bad for everyone. So it's the same with our own mind. We have to deal with it in such a way that it knows who's boss, but it likes us. Srila Prabhupada gives an example of a tiger. When they're training tigers, it's a mixture of discipline and rewards. That's simple psychology. Sometimes you reward, sometimes you're very strict and strong, and you snap the tiger with a whip. So sometimes we have to practice with our own mind. No, and that's it. And if our mind complains, we have to tolerate it, because I'm not this mind. It will be impossible to really become spiritually realized unless we do it. And doing it means, even though someone in the car is complaining, I don't listen. I just keep driving the way I feel I need to drive. And whether my mind is complaining or this or that, just like when we have a headache, we just do things anyway. And we get stronger willpower by doing that. But we have to know when to take a break. And praying to Krishna, of course, please help me with inner strength to do my duty. We chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. O energy of the Lord, O Lord, I don't have all the strength I need to act like a spiritual soul that I am. Please lift me up. Please give me the inner transcendental power. That is our method. We're not some kind of big yogis that try and conquer our minds and bodies by brute strength. That's not our path. It's not even possible. Some people take pride in that. Oh, I'm only eating one meal a day, and they become proud that they have the power to do it. And they think that's the main accomplishment, that I'm being renounced. But the accomplishment is to have love of Krishna. The accomplishment is to be a devotee of Krishna in humility. So a bhakti yogi, we see our Vaishnava acharyas, they have such transcendental power. Our ISKCON founder, Srila Prabhupada, he practically did not eat for 6 months in the last stages of his life. His body, the doctors said that anyone else with only skin and bones, they would be in so much pain laying in bed. But Srila Prabhupada showed no indication like that. He was always cheerful, talking to people, asking, how are you doing? Are you eating? How is your family? He was translating. It's just super normal. It is transcendental. So that is our ideal of being on the spiritual platform. The practice and prayer to Krishna. If we think that we can, if we think we can conquer our material desires and our sinful desires by our own power, we are grossly mistaken. We have some ability, but only so much. That's a lesson some of us hopefully will learn sooner rather than later. That when I'm feeling some difficulty, I call out to Krishna. I have to use my own willpower, but I call out to Krishna and Guru. So that's why humility is so important, to know when to ask for help. Some people are not used to that. They can hardly stop and ask someone for directions. Well, how do I get to this place? Because they're very caught up in thinking that they can do everything, they know everything. I should never. There are certain countries that the culture is very against acknowledging any kind of defect, any kind of weakness. I've talked to people in some countries, and you never tell anyone that you have some illness or some disease, God forbid. Everyone pretends to be perfect. I remember one lady, it's sad. I was speaking to one lady in the UK. So she was telling me how she suddenly found out that her sister was getting divorced. They had been married for 11 years. And I said, did you have any idea? No, I had. I talked to my sister regularly, but she didn't say a word. Just, many people don't talk about how things are not in their control. So we're not like, we don't want to be like. We're humble. We know we're not God. We know we're imperfect. We know we make mistakes. We're not bothered by it. I'm so imperfect. And so it's much easier to ask for help. And Krishna will help us to become humble. So we should try and do it on our own. A good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for that clarification. Are there any other questions or comments from the group? If there are no more questions or comments, can I hand over to Prahlad Prabhu? Prahlad Prabhu, can you close the session, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. First, I'd like to start by thanking His Grace, Dina Sharana Prabhu, for joining in and giving us this wonderful nectar on the new chapter that you have started. So, thank you, Prabhu, for giving us this wonderful class. I would also like to thank the devotees assembled for joining in and listening to Prabhu as well. So, thank you all for joining in as well. And on behalf of ISKCON Eldoret, Prabhu, we would like to thank you. So I'd like to kindly request all the devotees assembled to please unmute yourselves and let's chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once for His Grace Dina Sharana Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
His Grace Dina Sharana Prabhu ki
Jai.
Hidayat
I
Gaur
wanted to
Premanande.
I wanted to make a comment from last week's class about killing bees. That I was thinking about it. That there are various things that we do in life that are part of life. We start fires and it kills insects. We do cut the grass or the bushes around our house. Sometimes we have to remove trees. So these are almost unavoidable aspects of our life. And because we're living our life devoted to Krishna, and as much as we're doing that, and practice of bhakti, that these minor sins or minor violence that happens just by living in this world, we don't have to worry about that too much. Suppose we have to remove a tree which could fall on our house, and it's a living tree, but it could hurt people. So we inwardly feel regretful, may apologize, I'm sorry, I have to remove you, and pour some maha water on the tree or the weeds first that we offer to Krishna, and chant Hare Krishna, and then do what we need to do.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking about it, because since that day I have been thinking a lot, and I've had to call some people to kind of sort the drive out because it was too out of my control. And they just came with a hose pipe, with a jet washer. They just came and they just have removed everything. And I was thinking, oh my God. And I was just feeling so guilty. But thank you so much for thinking about the answer, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. You make me feel better.
Oh yes, Krishna, everything is considered individually. I mean, that's the way it works in court. If someone is bit by a snake in a car and God forbid kills someone, they're not going to be punished.
No.
But it's a lot different if someone has intent, I'm going to run that person over. Or suppose the doctor advised them, don't drive, you have fainting spell. So then that's negligence. So it depends upon the sinful reaction, and karma depends upon our inner purpose. Our inner, yeah. Anything.
So really do it if you really have no other option. And we can always put Krishna's Charnamrit on it and ask forgiveness. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
All glories to all the devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
We have a new devotee who has joined. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I've just seen there is Ashok Patil. Prabhuji, thank you for joining in. Can you just switch on your video for just a minute so that we can have your darshan, Prabhuji? Ashok Patil. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for joining in. Let us chant 3 Hari Bols for you. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. That is to welcome you in this group. Prabhuji, where are you from? Ashok Patil, Prabhuji, you are muted. We can't get.
Yeah. Mataji is from Ruba village.
Okay, very good, Prabhuji. You are from Eldorado. So thank you very much for joining in. We meet every day at the same time, same link. If kindly please join in if you can, if you have the time. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Okay, we
Everyone
can
be
end the
well.
session. Hari Bol. We can end
Hare-
the session. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your time. I'm ending the session.